Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to today's video and welcome back to my channel. So if you're new here, that's Kai. Jackson's in here too. He's right here. He's having a little bit of a tough time because he's teething. So I brought him in here to let him relax a little bit, and I put on his favorite show, which is the Dancing Veggies Baby Sensory, which you guys can check that out on YouTube. It's really cute. And I have the music, because the music's pretty loud, so I have it turned down because at 10 it was blasting. So we turned it down so we could film. And today we are going to be covering the case of Jack the Ripper, which is kind of scary. So I kind of want to go about this case in a little bit more of a unique way. I don't want to cover kind of everything because this is such an old case. And to be completely honest, there are actually 12 potential victims, I think, that he could have killed. We only know for sure of 5, but he could have killed 12. So I don't want to go into details on those because I don't want to spread false information, and I'd rather really just cover what we know and more or less theories. Because let's be honest, this case is like 300 years old. It's never getting solved. So the Jack the Ripper case was the first serial killer type case. I had to turn down the lights because it was so bright in my face, so I hope that this doesn't bother you guys. But anyways, so I have a lot of my own personal theories on Jack the Ripper, and I'm excited that I get to do this video, that I get to cover them, because we can talk about Jack the Ripper. So Jack the Ripper was actually like the world's first serial killer, pretty much. I don't think that there was any other serial killer case that's as well known as this. This was actually such a famous case even back then. People were following it to a T, and I even heard when I was researching this, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, so I did watch Kendall Rae and Eleanor Neal's video on this, and Kendall Rae had said that this was basically the O.J. Simpson trial back then for them. Which I wanted to quote because I actually do have a O.J. Simpson case video already up on my channel that'll be up before this one because I covered it in a previous makeup industry. You like the Dancing Veggies too, buddy? Oh, Mickey came on. Sorry, Jackson. Mickey's on now. So, if you don't know about the Jack the Ripper case, basically the most famous part of this case is that it was never solved, which is really why it's so big and famous, is because it was never solved. And there's apparently a ton of museums in London based around the Jack the Ripper story, because it's pretty intriguing to true crime enthusiasts, and I really want to know what you guys think down below about Jack the Ripper, and if you have any specific theories on who it could have been. But I want to talk about the type of person and stuff that we think it could have been. So, Jack the Ripper was well known for actually disemboweling his victims. I think that there was one victim that he couldn't disembowel because she screamed and he ran, and he ended up killing 2 victims that night, his 3rd and 4th victims. And what's the most craziest is that the murders are said to have happened in an hour, within an hour of the bodies being found. So really gruesome crimes with organs missing and stuff like that, but not a lot of time for them to have him to actually have done it, which is what I think is probably the most craziest part of this whole story, is that there really isn't that much time for him to commit these murders. So how he was able to do it, he either worked really quickly, or, of course it is the 1800s, they just are getting the times wrong, which is absolutely very, very possible. Because, I mean, think about all the technology we have, and we still get time of death wrong. You know, people are able to conceal it, there's so many cases that I want to cover. There's a case of, a husband who killed his wife, and he, slowed down the rate of composition, so it looked like when she was killed, he wasn't there. You know, there's just so many cases, that you're able to do this. God, I love this shade. This is the Diamond District palette from Maybelline. Oh, I love this shimmer. I just want to let you guys know it feels like an Anastasia shimmer. It's so soft and buttery smooth. And I only ever really apply shimmers with my fingers now. Just something I really picked up from using Natasha Denona's palettes, I'm not gonna lie. So I think like the biggest thing for Jack the Ripper is he was obviously had a thing for the women's anatomy because he was actually ripping out women's uteruses. So obviously he had a thing for women anatomy. I guess like I'm wondering personally per se what you guys think about this. Do you think that Jack the Ripper had a thing for like women anatomy in the sense of he was a doctor? My first theory with the Jack the Ripper cases is that he was a doctor and he was a sadistic doctor, but he was experimenting. And that is how Jack the Ripper came to be. Another thing I also didn't know until researching this case was that Jack the Ripper actually was named by Jack the Ripper in one of his thought to be letters, but again, we don't know for sure if he wrote any of the letters, because apparently there were a lot of letters wrote that were proven to be just random ass people sending in letters. Don't do that. You know, if there's a big case and you want to be a part of it, like, try to solve it. How about that? Don't try to be the killer. Like, that. Like, don't do that. That's just, like, so stupid. I hate people sometimes. So, that was that, and like I said, my first thought is that I am curious to, do you think Jack the Ripper was a doctor? Because it almost seems like he could have been a doctor because he really seemed to know about anatomy. And, I mean, if you're a doctor, you're going to know a lot about anatomy. But you don't have to just be a doctor. I mean, he could have really just been in any medical field, I guess, to know about anatomy. I was just like, doctor is the number one thing that comes to my mind. So, what do you guys think? Do you think Jack the Ripper could have been a doctor? I want you guys to know that it is Jackson making those noises. So, if you hear random noises, it's Jackson. Those are Jackson. Mickey Mouse is on, so. The boys are in 7th heaven with that. Okay, so my next theory with the Jack the Ripper case is going to be that, sticking with the medical field, what if Jack the Ripper was a medical student and he was just like practicing on people with a sadistic kind of turn? I mean, as unrealistic as that one kind of sounds, it kind of sounds like pretty reasonable. I mean, London back then was very, very different than how it is now. I mean, apparently, like, it was very common for women to go around and prostitute themselves because they didn't have money, which, I mean, I understand, but at the same time, I don't understand. You know, it was common for that, and these prostitutes were actually Jack the Ripper's victims. So, again, my theory is, what if Jack the Ripper was a medical student and he had, like, a sadistic side to him, and he started testing his victims. Like, that's how he learned the medical practice, was through his victims. So that was my second theory. I have another theory which is a little bit different than that, but I mean, I also want to point out that Jack the Ripper is said to have been in his 40s. So the medical student one, I mean, it's kind of hard to kind of go with because he is said to be in his 40s. Not that there is anything wrong with going back to school in your 40s, but my question is, do you really think that that was possible back then? I don't know. Let's discuss it down below. My next theory is going to be kind of a unique one, and that is that Jack the Ripper is actually multiple people. I think that, yes, there is an original Jack the Ripper, but I also think that there were people playing off of it and kind of like, we're just doing copycat type victim things. So I think that there is a possibility that Jack the Ripper was an original person, and then with how big the media news was around this case, people kind of just took advantage of it and created multiple Jack the Rippers. So this one is a pretty credible one, I think. So I don't know names, but so apparently there was a guy who lived with one of the victims. She actually did end up being like, I think it was the third or fourth victim. She might have been the fifth actually. Of Jack the Ripper. The canonical five. So those five are the ones that we know are victims of the Jack the Ripper case. So, one of these victims actually had a male roommate who was said to have a crush on her, and she was a prostitute in London. And it is said, the theory goes that he was Jack the Ripper because he was trying to convince her that she didn't need to prostitute herself, and she shouldn't have, like, he was trying to scare her because he was trying to take care of her. So I read when it like when Jack the Ripper's case first started, it kind of worked. I don't remember these people's names because it was like midnight when I was reading this stuff. I will try to link everything down below if I remember to. If not, remind me, and after I post this, I'll do it. So it was said that when Jack the Ripper first started, this man actually had gotten his wish, and the roommate who he liked and wanted to take care of was stopping the prostitution due to the fear of Jack the Ripper. But she apparently, like, they were just roommates. She didn't have a thing for him. He had a thing for her, but she did not have a thing for him. However, it's said that this man had lost his job, and that is why she went back to prostitution. Jackson wanted the veggies, so I turned his veggies back on for him because that's what he wanted, and if you hear the music in the background, that is the dancing veggies. I apologize. So anyways, this man lost his job, and she was kind of like, okay, well, you can't take care of me no more, so she went back to prostitution. And I find this theory very credible because, I find this credible because the fourth victim and the fifth and final known victim actually happened a month apart. So maybe the fourth victim had scared this woman, and then the fifth victim, I think, was actually her. I mean, they were a month apart. Then I believe it's said that Jack the Ripper kind of like disappeared after that, which, I mean, like, if he wasn't trying to convince her anymore, I mean, like, yeah, and she did, Jack the Ripper can disappear. So I think that is a very, like, logical kind of theory, and it definitely is a good one to point into. Because kind of, like, the timeline just kind of, like, makes sense. But they were never able to actually prove it. Another theory is that H.H. Holmes was Jack the Ripper, which I've seen that a lot, that H.H. Holmes was Jack the Ripper, and, I mean, please, I did not really look into it because I think it's kind of stupid. Because I kind of am leaning more towards a doctor or, this man. That man from the last theory. And not H.H. Holmes, but please, like, let me know if you are into the theory of H.H. Holmes being Jack the Ripper. Please let me know down below. Let's talk about it. I mean, like I said, I didn't really look into that one because I kind of think it's crazy, but I had seen it, so I know it's real. So if you're into that theory, let's talk about it down below. And I think that those are all the credible theories on Jack the Ripper. If you have any more, of course, comment them down below. We only want to spread the accurate information, and we only want to have positive thoughts in the comment section, so let's not have a heated discussion. I think the important thing to note is that these are still people, and they did have feelings no matter what these women were doing in their life. And there's no need to badmouth them, because I am always in my comment section, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I kind of stay in there because I like to interact with you guys. So any mean, negative, and disparaging comments are going to be deleted that I don't agree with. They're going to be deleted because, I mean, we're not, yes, this is the internet and we can hide behind a computer, but you still shouldn't say things just to hurt people. I'm gonna do this matte purple. I've had this little 6-pan for a while now, so I know I love it. And I love creating looks with it. It's so easy to just do a nice look with all 6 of these. Colors. And it always ends up looking so nice, too. Jax? So anyways, yeah, let's talk about these different kind of like theories down below. They're my personal theories from what I've researched on Jack the Ripper. I could 110,000% be wrong. I mean, it could also be a guy that just had a lot of hatred towards prostitutes and wanted to rip them apart. I mean, that's a theory that I didn't really cover because I didn't really feel like it fit into any kind of like theory I personally had. But I mean, that's a good theory. You know, chances are if you're watching this series, you're pretty into true crime, so of course you would know that we have cases like that all the time. I mean, anything is possible. People get mad and kill people over some of the stupidest reasons, and yes, I understand that this happened in the 1800s, but no matter how different times are, people's emotions haven't changed. Like, we've always had the same type of emotions, no matter what year we're talking about. So there is that. And I mean, that actually, I'll go ahead and talk about that, because that actually, now that I think about it, is a very plausible theory. So Jack the Ripper could have just been a very sadistic and hateful person who hated women. Maybe he had mommy issues. I mean, back in this time, I do want to point out it is the 1800s, so if you're curious about what I mean, I talked about it a little bit in my Kennedy Curse episode. So if you are curious about that, just check out that episode. It was pretty early on in the series, and I'll probably revisit it because I don't think I did a really good job with it. But, so, it's actually entirely possible that Jack the Ripper had a mental disease, and that is one of the, like, it was untreated, because, I mean, mental disease back in the 1800s was just non-existent. But I can guarantee you mental disease existed in the 1800s. I mean, like, no matter what, like I said, no matter what year we're talking, human emotions have always been the same. They've never changed and they've never evolved. Like, that's just, like, it just don't happen that way. I guess another theory I didn't really cover is that Jack the Ripper could have actually been a woman. I don't find that plausible, but at the same time, it would make a little bit of sense for some things, but also, like, him just being under the radar and being a really good actor could have covered it. But there is a plausible thing about saying that Jack the Ripper could have been a woman. You think about it, if Jack the Ripper was a woman and the police are looking for a male, I mean, Jack the Ripper would have been able to really kind of like stay under the radar with anything. And it is said that Jack the Ripper a few times actually was at the scene of the investigation. I'm not going to say the only way for that to have happened was for Jack the Ripper to be a woman, because that's just not plausible. Like I said, I mean, this is the 1800s and a lot of things were different, so they honestly had absolutely no idea what Jack the Ripper really looked like and who they were really looking for, which is why it's entirely plausible for Jack the Ripper to be a woman. But if Jack the Ripper was a woman, then you would absolutely have zero suspicion of a woman at a crime scene, because you're looking for a male, so that would make sense. But I don't know, I want to really know what you guys think down below. If you are a true crime enthusiast, or if you're just into the Jack the Ripper case, like, let's just talk about this down below. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I have to end this video here. I have things I have to do today. Time for me to stop being lazy and go get these things done. I'm taking the kids to the park in a few days after their next checkup, which is going to be awesome because they love the park. Jackson, not really, because he's little, but Kai loves it. So anyways, like I said, let's discuss everything down below in the comment section. And yeah, I'm gonna end it here, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!